Item number 1 is a public hearing to rezone the west side redevelopment area to R2.
All right. It's been duly advertised that we have a public hearing about rezoning the west side redevelopment area. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing, and anybody in favor of it, come forward. Seeing none. Anyone in opposition to it, come forward. Seeing none. I'll close the public hearing on that issue, and do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
Move properly second. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, so approved. Rezoning is approved. Item number 2, Mr. Manager.
Item 2 is a public hearing for a special use permit application to allow an accessory apartment at 1333 Shepherd Street.
Okay, it's been duly advertised that we have this rezoning, rezoning. And for 1333 Shepherd Street, we'll open up the public hearing, and all those in favor of it come forward. Give us your name and your address.
AJ, last week is once here.
Okay.
At the house over there, 1333 Shepherd Street. Applied for the accessory apartment.
Okay. You all,
I have the parking space and everything, so I'm just applying for the application. If you approve, I can rent my house to the place. I have the enough spaces over there in the front and back.
and you will supply parking, I thought I saw somewhere that you're going to supply parking for that.
Yeah, I have three or four parking spaces.
Okay.
My house is AB there. Access the road. There's an easement with my road, so I have enough parking in the front and back.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else want to speak in favor of it? Close that part of the hearing, and now anybody in opposition to it? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not necessarily in opposition to it, but I was at the zoning hearing, and my understanding was they were going to put a caveat on it, the approval, because the parking is so bad on Shepherd Street, it's one way, that he would grade and gravel behind it so that he would have 4 spots there. That's my concern, is parking.
Restate that, please.
I was here at the zoning hearing
Okay.
initially for this, and brought my concerns about parking, because Shepherd is a one-way street. It's very difficult to get a parking spot there, I live there. So we had, it was mentioned in the zoning hearing that an addendum or caveat could be put on it about grading and graveling the back part, because Ms. Cole said that would accommodate 4 parking spots. It would be sufficient to not crowd the street up worse. Make sense?
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, that's all.
All right, I need your name and
I'm
address.
sorry, Lisa L.S. Mettler, M-E-T-T-L-E-R, 1332 Shepherd.
So you're right there.
Across the street,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. So is anyone opposed to this?
Mr. Mayor, can I
Yeah.
Hope, can you elaborate on what Ms. Butler was actually talking about? Well, yeah, you could.
Yes. He had, there is an open alley there that has a curb cut. And we said that in the planning commission, we said that he could possibly put gravel down to that, because he does have enough space in the back. But he was going to actually put 1 or 2 in the front. So he just needs to make sure that he has 4 off-street parking spaces.
And the planning commission was supportive of that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we just need to make sure we have 4 off-street parking spaces. Maybe not all stall specifically in the back, but, you know, you could have one to the side or front, but he would need to put some gravel on that entranceway there.
All right, so it's a stipulation of the approval? Is that what you're saying? Did you understand?
I think so.
Okay, so until he does that, will he be able to use it R2?
Well, he would, if you can put on there that, he does have to have full off-street parking spaces, so that would be a requirement. But he's remodeling now, so he's not at the point of
Yeah.
renting. I don't think he's at the point of renting yet, because he's got to remodel the basement area.
I'm just trying to make sure.
So I guess the approval would be contingent on his having the 4 parking spaces. He would not be able to get a certificate of occupancy.
Right. The 4 off-street parking spaces.
You know how to make the motion? 'Cause I can't do it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in opposition? Being none, I'll close this portion of the public hearing and ask for a motion from the council.
I'd like to go ahead and make the motion for the permit to be approved, conditioning on the improvements that are made to allow for the 4 parking spaces on the property.
Second.
We'll move to proper second. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 3, Mr. Mayor.
Item number 3 is a public hearing to consider the proposed agreement from Comcast Cable.
All right. Then do we advertise that we have this public hearing on the proposed agreement from Comcast Cable franchise over the public hearing and ask anybody in favor of it to come forward? Nobody here from Comcast?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I'll close that portion and ask anybody who is opposed to it to come forward. There are none. I'll close the public hearing and ask for, before we go into ask for a motion for, yeah. No one decided to come from Comcast. That's kind of strange, isn't it?
Well, I think cable has changed so much over the years that this is not nearly as big a deal as it was 20, 25 years ago. And I think a lot of these franchise agreements just get renewed when the time comes. This one, I think, is expired several years ago.
2 years ago. One of the questions was, why didn't we take care of it then? Why didn't it come forward then?
I don't know, but I think that kind of reflects the fact that it's not nearly as significant as it used to be. You probably remember, we used to spend a year working on a franchise agreement, and now they just, they just get renewed, with every 10 years or 15 years, whenever the expiration occurs.
So we don't know anything about how we compare what their I saw the agreement. It says that everybody in the town of South Boston can get, they serve everybody in the town.
Right. That's what they say.
But that's not, it's not accessible to everybody in the town.
I spoke to the Comcast person today, and she assured me that it was so. I know that I have her checking that one address that you had shared with me. So I guess we'll find out, at least in that case. But she's assured me that the whole town should be covered. Should be.
And I'd be interested to know what kind of investment they put in our community and what the revenue has been for them. And the number of people and how we compare rate-wise to other communities of our size.
Would you like me to find that out prior to approving it?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need a motion to, table it until, next meeting?
Yeah.
Mayor, I so move the table the discussion for the cable until our next meeting, when we receive more information.
I'll second.
We probably second that we table this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please ask them to have a representative here next time.
Okay.
All right. Item number 4, Mr. Mayor.
And for its public hearing to consider the application for certificate of public convenience and necessity for taxi limousine service.
Do we advertise that we have a public hearing for the certificate of public convenience and necessity for taxi or limousine service? And we're gonna open the public hearing, and anybody in favor will come forward.
Good evening, Your Honor, members of council. It's good to be back home in South Boston. After 23 years, most of you I know still the same. Must be something in the water, I suppose. My name is Ernest Gage, and I'm here to respectfully ask for your consideration concerning certificate of convenience and necessity for our limousine company called Dignified Transfer LLC. We are a Delaware-based company that's authorized to operate in the state of Delaware, North Carolina, and here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I'm the president of the company, Ernest Gage. My wife's the vice president. On my real job, I'm currently in the United States Air Force, and my wife is a veteran. And we're both absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity to take part in this endeavor here. I've been doing logistics for 20 years, drove a 40-foot city bus at Virginia Tech as a student, so I know a little bit about public transportation, and have had the privilege, again, of visiting 42 different countries, leading our airmen across the world. We also have our advisor, Mr. Stanley Jefferson, joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Jefferson, for being part of our team and for helping us as we hopefully get going here with the council's approval. We are a loan company, but we are a loan company that has the privilege of helping our community members with some of the toughest times during their lives. Our core business is supporting funeral homes, providing family car service, is what it's called in the industry, or as you would know, limousine service. Not just supporting here in the town of South Boston, but the entire northern North Carolina and South Side, Virginia. About 350 funeral homes reside about 100 miles from here. Roughly 950 funerals happen a week. And of course, we're hoping to take part in some of that work. All that being said, we are also interested in helping care the community, whether that means weddings or helping provide shuttle services back and forth to the airport. We want to provide value to the Halifax County, South Boston, Virginia area, because after all, this is home. We have issued our certificate of fitness from the state of Virginia, number 3603. We have $1.5 million liability insurance after required by the state. Our surety bond and all our vehicles have been licensed and inspected. Why South Boston? We could do this business anywhere, I suppose, but the most important reason is because I get to do it with my dad, who's here in the audience, Mr. Ernest Gage. If approved, he will be our site manager here running things while me and my wife are off doing our full-time jobs. And I can assure you that with him at the wheel, it will be an absolutely safe and compliant operation that will add value to the South Boston and larger South Side Virginia and Northern North Carolina region. So members of the council, thank you for your consideration, and we stand ready to support, answer any questions that you have, and we wish you the very best as we go into 2026.
Anybody have any questions?
I have one. Do we have an existing company that's in this business now, or would?
Sure. Fair question, Mr. Councilman. There is another business company here, Drew Limousine Service, that provides more of the recreational, prom type, airport type business, but another company that specializes in the funeral home and support business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak in favor of it?
Good evening, Mayor.
Yeah, you want to state your name?
Members, I'm Stanley family therapist, 502 Wilton Avenue. I don't know what else I can add. I think he very eloquently stated the reason for his business. I'm just here to offer my support to them, and anything I can do to help them to succeed in their business, I'm willing to help out best I can. Yes, but there is a need sometimes. Those of us who are in the funeral business, from time to time, we do need additional equipment, which is specialized equipment. Mr. Cage is investing quite heavily. I don't know if you've been down Broad Street, what's it? Bank of America? Yeah, Old Bank of America building. You see his vehicles parked there. It's done an excellent job of putting multicolored vehicles to serve various funeral homes. So I just wanted to speak in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Thanks. Close that portion of, anybody in opposition? All right, close the public hearing. What's your? Make a motion?
I move that we approve the certificate of convenience and necessity application from Ernest Bass for the limousine service. Ernest Cage, sorry.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Moving properly second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I think it's a very beneficial service to the community, and it's much needed, so I would be very much in favor of approving this motion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. It's been approved. Thank you.
Item number 5 is a brief presentation that John Hatcher, Public Works Director, I would like to discuss this evening regarding yard waste. Over the last year or so, we've received a number of expressions of concern from residents about our yard waste. So currently, it takes anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks to collect yard waste. So if you put your yard waste out at the curb, it may be sitting there for 4 to 6 weeks, which is not acceptable for a lot of reasons. When yard waste sits in the curb line and rain comes and wind comes, goes down to the storm drain, gets blown around, and besides it's unsightly. So I'm going to talk about the problem and show you some pictures about the problem, and then John Hatcher is going to talk about ways we can solve this. So let's start with next one, please. Okay, I'm just going to show you a bunch of pictures. This is what our public works workers, when they see this is what they have to pick up. Okay. Now you can imagine that there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, it's kind of scattered all over the place. Those are really big tree limbs that we probably don't really have a whole lot. We don't have good ways of getting rid of that. But you can imagine how difficult that is to pick up. It may not take super long, but even if it took 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you multiply that over many, many residents, you get an idea of why it's taking 4 to 6 weeks to collect things. And some of these things you have to have equipment to actually pick it up, to move it. Next slide, please. There's another one. You can see that one's even a little more gangly. It doesn't have as many big limbs, but you can see all those very long and again, would take very long time to collect. Next, please. Same kind of thing. You probably, it wouldn't be practical to pick that up by hand. So what happens is we have to get a large piece of equipment, kind of a knuckle boom kind of thing. We've got to go out there and you set it up, and it's got a hand, a big arm that comes out and pick it up. It just takes a while. And again, you can imagine that multiplied over many homes, it extends the time period by which it takes to collect. Next, please. You disregard the trash. That part wouldn't be picked up by yard waste. But again, you can see more of what I've been talking about. Next, please. This one, we're not sure what's underneath that one. So our guys would have to uncover that, really sure what you're going to be collecting next, please. And some of the small piles are almost, that's also kind of complicated. Just picking it up by hand may take you 2 or 3 minutes. And again, I want to remind everyone, it's the cumulative, it's thousands of homes that you have to get to, so even if it takes 2 or 3 minutes, multiply that out over a lot of houses, it adds up. Next, please. This one, you almost wonder whether this was done by a tree company. You would think that the tree company should be responsible for disposing of their own waste. I don't know if that's the case here, but it looks like someone took a tree down or a tree had fallen down and cut up. But either way, it's substantial parts of the tree. It doesn't seem like yard waste as much as it does tree removal. Next, please. More of the same. We could show you a ton of these kinds of pictures, but I hope this gives you the idea. Next, please. And then you can get the little ones. And I included this picture because I wanted to show how it catches trash. So you have these little things, and it has a way of capturing leaves, and it catches trash, which not only makes it unsightly, but a good rain could wash all that down into the drain, and then our public works staff have to go to a drain and clean out the drain. Next, please. Okay, so let me just summarize what I just talked about. With increasing yard waste and seasonal spikes, we do have heavy demand, particularly during certain times of the year, outside of leaf collection. Next, please. And the placement of that waste, we've been showing pictures of the kind of material, but also where it's placed can be a problem too. If it's next to a mailbox, if it's next to a car, it's very difficult to pick up even with that piece of equipment. Next. And as we saw, you have these oversized piles of yard waste that just become very impractical to pick up. So what we would like to have is we would like to propose a service that would allow these yard waste to possibly be picked up in a day or 2. So if you're a resident, you put that yard waste out the night before, you should be able to expect the next day or maybe the day after that at the latest, that yard waste is collected. And so Mr. Hatcher is going to talk about how we do that.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor. As Mr. Hanna just stated, that was the issues that we face day to day with the yard waste. So I'm going to present to you what we have come up for with solutions. We'll start with the definition. Definition of yard waste can be defined as decomposable material generated from lawn and garden care, including shrubs, tree trimmings, grass clippings, leaves, and other compostable material. To compare the current town code to what we are requesting, as Mr. Cannon stated, right now it's taking 4 to 6 weeks to get around town. With the guidelines we're proposing, we're hoping we know we can get this down to a week turnaround. As he stated, say if your household garbage is picked up on a Tuesday, your yard waste will be picked on a Tuesday every week. The placement requirements, the only change here would be we would like to add that the residents do not block sidewalks, storm drains, or place anything near any type of obstacle. We have issues with telephone poles, guy wires, fire hydrants, vehicles, you name it. It's almost like it's a bullseye for some reason. People want to put a brush next to something. So I asked him to add that. As well as another addition, slight change would be craft bags, the small loose leaf leaves, grass clippings, like acorns, things of that nature. They're residents now are just placing them loosely in the curb. And heavy rain comes and washes all this stuff in storm drains, which at the end of the day just adds more work for us. So we're asking the residents would need to put those in crack bags. And I think on the next slide, don't go to it just yet, but the next slide, we'll get into details on that. Size and weight limit. Currently, the maximum size is 2 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. This has not been, the size and weight limit by size or the poundage or bundle and tie, as you've seen by the pictures, nobody's paying any attention to it. It hasn't been enforced for many years, even though it is in the town code currently. So truthfully, it's not much of a change or an amendment that would need to happen. It's just more of an enforcement standpoint. The change that we are asking for is increasing to a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot, reducing from 75 pounds to 50 pounds per pile, and asking that the diameter be no greater than 4 inches. Next slide. This is where we see the crack bag. Just as an example, I spoke with the local Lowe's store manager as well as True Value. They currently do not have these on the shelf. They are available online. However, depending on y'all's decision, if we move forward with this, both retail stores are willing to have it on the shelf and readily available at any time. Next slide. This is just an example of the 4 foot by 4 foot piles with the weight 50 pounds and bundled and tied. Next one. Enforcement. So first offense, if you're in violation, if the resident was in violation, we're saying first offense, we will leave a tag of some sort. I've been checking with other localities around us exactly how they're doing this. It seems the first offense, they're just making the residents aware, not picking it up, and then on the next scheduled pickup, hoping that it's in compliance at that point. If there's a second offense, at that point, there would be a monetary penalty of some sort, and any further details than that would have to be discussed with the town's attorney. So our target date to implement this would be the first Monday in April, which is April 6th. Next slide, please. And you may be asking how are we going to educate the residents on this, because the residents have to know. You can't just expect them to start doing something they don't know about. So first thing, we were hoping to present this at the last meeting, but it got canceled. And if you got a newsletter, you probably saw it in there, so we did put it in the newsletter. We plan to put it in the next few newsletters moving forward, as well as on Facebook, the town website, and all the local newspaper. So, that's all I have. Any questions?
I have one question. Is there a limit to the number of times you can put refuge at curbside in a given year, or is it just pretty much open?
No, sir, not at this point. There's no limit.
I've noticed in my neighborhood that it's a few homeowners that are taking really advantage of, they'll pay somebody to come and cut the shrubs, and they'll pay somebody to carry it up to the top of the road. Well, that same person should be carrying it to the landfill, but they're depending on our town, month after month after month, to do it for them, and I think that's taking advantage of the situation.
Any other questions?
Let me ask a quick question though. do you propose to enforce somebody knowing something's 50 pounds or 75 pounds?
I would say that's just on an honor system, more so than, everybody has a good understanding of weight to a certain extent, you know. And on top of that, 50 pounds, I would say, you go back to the diameter, the size requirements, 4 inches in diameter. 4 inches in diameter, it would take a lot of brush, is what we're picking. We're picking up trimmings, is what we're proposing. So 4 inches in diameter, if it's stacked up 4 foot tall, 4 foot long, not much wood is going to be more than 50 pounds, in my opinion. That's why we're trying to keep those limits at the size of it as such.
So what you're saying is, if I cut a 6-inch tree down, I can't put it out there, I have to get it grown by commercial.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Right. Right.
For the brush that is currently out there on the roadside, how do you wish to be notified that it needs to be picked up at this time or before your implementation date of August 6th?
Yes, so, are you speaking on what's out there currently?
Yes, sir.
So as of right now, we do not ask for people to call in. We are currently running every day, we have a route that we're running on. So it's taken, at the current moment, it's taken about 4 weeks to get around town. Does that answer the question? Somewhat.
There's gonna be a transition here.
Yeah,
I think probably the first several months is gonna be a little bit talking to folks, and we'll have to just work through it. But the hope is that over time, 4, 5, 6 months, we'll have it down to, most people will know the expectations.
And just to clarify, what is out there right now up until this implementation time period, when we get closer to that, we plan to put everybody, as much as we can, workforce out to clean these streets 100%. That way when we go into this time period doing implementation, it's clean out there. We don't have to worry about it.
That's good.
I'm our gardener, and I do a lot of trimming of shrubbery, and I just put it in the trash can. Can you not do that anymore?
My answer to that would be, I would ask you not to, for a couple of reasons. I would ask that you do put it in the crack bag moving forward if we're good with this. The biggest reason is the tipping fee at the landfill that's costing us extra tax dollars. So that's the reason for that.
So if you had a vehicle, could you take your clippings and stuff to the landfill?
My understanding is the new project that they're doing over at the landfill, I think the county has a dumpster for yard waste. So my understanding is you can put it into that dumpster as well.
I may have missed it, so if I did, forgive me. What is the citation amount for a person who violates?
That'll have to be determined. That's something that you guys will have to decide. So
Okay.
if we get the direction that you're fine with this concept, we'll have the town attorney draft a proposed ordinance for you to look at. It's gonna be pretty similar to what's, but we've got a few changes, and we'll have to put a penalty in there and have to determine what the dollar figure will be.
And my second question, is this, and maybe we can or we can't discuss it right here, but is this an employment issue or an equipment issue? The reason why we're going this route?
I would say neither.
Okay.
I would say that it was a lack of enforcement over the years.
Okay. So we have the equipment to do
Yes, sir.
what we say, okay.
Well, let me add to that though, because I'm not so sure we do, I'm not so sure there is a right equipment
Okay.
to do what's being deposited at the curb. I think that we're a yard waste collection, not tree removal collection. And I think what's being put out there, I don't know if there's a quick way to remove that. Certainly not in a day or two or 3 or 4. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the service to the level that our residents deserve, which is within a matter of a couple of days. In order to do that, we can't collect it like it's being put out there now.
Yes, sir. I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, let me ask you one more question.
Yes, sir.
What's the ordinance, maybe you actually ask me, hold on a second. What's the ordinance say about commercial cutting it down and taking it to?
I don't know if it says anything, do you know if it says anything about that? If it says it's not the intent of it for commercial,
The research that I've done this week, specifically, I haven't seen it.
we can certainly add that it's the intent of the ordinance for this service to be for residential yard waste, not for commercial tree removal.
And I will note that every locality surrounding us does have that in there too.
Yeah, because I know that there have been, like you said, been commercial entities that cut it and take it to the curb, understanding that the town will pick it up at some point. Might not even get at the regular house either. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Got anything else on that?
Yeah, so is this something that council would be open to us preparing a draft ordinance for you to consider? Okay.
All right. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is the approval of the 2026 holiday calendar, and you have a copy of the proposed calendar in your packet.
Anyone on the council have a question about this, or?
I have a comment about it, Ed. Just as last year, I was opposed to the November 3rd election day holiday. I think it's absurd. You got 50 days prior to November 3rd to vote. The federal and state employees are the only ones to get this holiday. The public sector does not get it. I don't think it's necessary. It costs us thousands of dollars to provide it, and I'm just not in favor of it. I'm very much opposed to it.
Any other?
I did have a question. Did we consider any days around the Easter holiday? I know sometimes we were being asked when that holiday arrives if we was going to consider any one of those days.
I think historically what the town has done is there's a floating holiday that the mayor will determine where that holiday is. And I think it's historically been the day after Easter. I don't know if it's been that way every time, but I think the last several years it's been the day after Easter.
And you want to go ahead and designate it now? That way everybody understands what it is?
Yes, I would agree.
And what they will look at that.
I don't know what Easter is this year.
No, April 6th. April 6th.
April 6th.
Thank you, though.
I move that we make Monday, April 6th the Monday after Easter Sunday as their floating holiday for 2026.
Okay, moving properly second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Now, there, a motion to approve all of the, paid holidays. And so you know, these are following the state holidays.
This is Virginia, this is all based on Virginia state holiday schedule.
And we're gonna address something else after this, right? Okay. All right? Do I hear a motion to approve? This, as amended?
I move that we approve the 2026 holidays as amended with the South Boston floating holiday being on April 6th.
Second.
Moving properly second, any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Ayes have it. All right, item number 8. Council meeting schedule.
So there's approval of the 2026 town council meeting schedule.
All right, you have it before you, everybody have a copy of it. Any conflicts you think of? All right, expect everybody to be here.
Except one is my birthday.
Well, when's your birthday?
I'll look in second for the good of the public.
Okay.
I'll be.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moving properly second. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, the meeting schedule, the town council meeting schedule is set for 2026. Item number 9, Mr. Manager.
Item number 9 is the personnel manual amendment. You have before you in the packet an agenda summary. As you know, the town has a personnel policy handbook. And over the last 6 to 9 months, Lionel Axe and myself have been looking at it and proposed that the following changes be made. These are all primarily housekeeping items. The number 1 is the one the mayor had referred to before. In our personnel manual, it says that we follow the Virginia state holiday schedule, and also if the mayor, the governor, and the president of the United States declare a holiday, we would follow that as well. And I think the thought was that we just do the mayor and the governor. Again, trying to stick with that, following the state of Virginia holiday schedule as opposed to mixing it up with other federal schedules. I think it's a little cleaner, easier to implement just by saying we follow the state of Virginia. And then there's a few others here. Would you like me to go through each one of them?
Yes, good.
Okay. The second one is requiring a doctor note when using 3 or more consecutive sick days. Currently, we don't have that, and I think that would be helpful. And any employee taking more than 5 consecutive days of vacation should be giving at least 10 working days notice. This allows, particularly in police, fire, and public works, to schedule accordingly so they don't get kind of caught off guard without being able to make those adjustments. Fourth one is change special day to bereavement day, because that's actually what it is, and I think it just simply reflects the way that that day is used. And then, for purposes of determining the deadline for carrying over leave, this primarily has to do with sick and vacation. We wanted to make them the same. One is on fiscal year and one's on the calendar year. We're proposing to make them all on the calendar year, again, just for ease of administration. And then finally, a new employee is required to have and maintain a CDL. This is primarily public works. Must be able to pass the DOT physical and maintain a clean medical card without exemptions from the DMV. And those are the proposed changes. And none of these, this does not have any fiscal, monetary impact. These are mainly just for ease of administration.
So you want to vote all of them at one time? So is there here a motion?
I make a motion to approve as amended.
There's a second?
I'll second.
Moving properly second. that we, amend the, personnel manual with the recommendation from the town manager. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the personnel manual will be amended. Item number 10, Mr. Mayor.
This is the reappointment of planning commission positions. I think typically, at least I guess these are presented in closed session, just to make sure there's no questions. So if you wanted to do that, or you could do the reappointment, but I think typically we have gone to closed session, just so you're not talking about candidates in public session, in case there are any questions.
I move that this item be moved to closed session.
Okay.
Second.
Proper second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and closed session. Finance report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we get into the finance report for July, reflecting year-to-date totals of November 30th, 2025. Cash operating for November 2025, debits was $1,670,742.83. Credits was $778,172.03, giving us a net cash of $892,570.80. November operating cash activity reflects normal payroll, routine operating expenditures, in addition to planned capital improvement purchases with grant funded projects reimbursement expected to be received in subsequent periods. In the beginning, construction in West Side, some of that is ARPA funds, some of that is grant funding. Of course, a lot of our grant funding is based on reimbursement, so you may see higher expenditures in some months, and then we may see revenues flowing back in from those purchases. Financial overview, general fund revenue and expenditures are tracking within normal seasonal expectations. Revenues collected as of November 30th, an average of $6.02 million of the $18.43 million budget, which gives us about 32% to revenues. Expenditures of $16.16 million of the $18.43 million budget, it gives us an average of 33%. Most departments spending are operating below 50% of their annual appropriations. No concerns with cash flow at the moment. Revenues is budgeted for 18.4.3. Again, year to date, we're at about $6 million. Performance aligns with the first 5 months of the fiscal year. Several revenues are seasonal and expected later. Business license is a big one of ours, which business license is our calendar year from January to December. So we sent out those renewal letters, so we'll see some heavy revenue expected later within the quarters. Real estate and personal property, of course, deals went out. December 5th was the due date. As of the end of November, we received about 70% of those current collections. Mills tax, we've collected 49% of the annual budget. Local sales tax, we're at about 43%. And utility and telecom taxes remain consistent with prior year trends. Expenditures, overall expenditures patterns are within expected seasonal range. Of course, personnel benefits, our insurance increased this year, trying to maintain a steady salary, so of course those always consist from the largest expenditures. Again, those departments are spending between 35% and 40%. And then of course we had some capital improvement purchase as planned, and also as I mentioned before, just waiting on grant reimbursements. Departments spending 5%, town council is at 42%, town clerk is 41%, town manager is currently 34%, finance department is 44%, Human Resources 39, Recreation is 43, IT Department size position town manager is at 43, and planning and zoning is at 32%. Police Department is currently 38% expended, Fire Department is at 36, and again, spending kind of reflects normal personnel driven costs. Public Works, their VDOT funding, they spend about 14%. A lot of their spending with VDOT kind of comes in the spring season where they're doing a lot of paving and et cetera. Non-VDOT expenses, as you can see, is a little bit higher, 34%, which kind of covers personnel, some of the brush expenses and things we were talking about earlier. But overall, finances and expenditure trends remain stable and consistent. No department shows no signs of overspending. Again, grant revenues and capital reimbursements are expected to improve within later in the fiscal year, and revenues are projected to increase within the second and third quarters, primarily by tax collection and business license renewal. Do y'all have any questions for me?
The categorical aid still running behind like always?
Yeah, and that's kind of falling to with the grants.
Any questions?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Number 10 is town manager updates. I guess the first comment I would make is, I guess it's with mixed feelings that I announce the retirement of Dennis Barker, assistant town manager. Dennis has provided almost 30 years of dedicated service to the town, most of those years in the police department, where he's held a number of leadership positions, and I think ably represented the police department and community. And then he became the assistant town manager, I guess, what, 4 or 5 years ago? 6 years ago? Yeah. And serves with distinction in that position as well. So on the one hand, we're going to really miss Dennis Barker. On the other hand, we're very happy for him because he was actually planning on retiring a little bit later, but I guess as soon as he started looking for a job, I think people realized what a catch he was, and he got gobbled up pretty quick. So he's going to be leaving a little earlier than I think what we were expecting, but we're happy for him, and I think, like I said, we're going to miss him. He's done a great job. On a personal note, he was extremely helpful to me coming in. Of course, he could have easily done his job himself, but he was very helpful in me kind of learning the lay of the land. And again, he's done a great job. So this will be his last meeting as assistant town manager, because he'll be retiring January 30th. And then we'll be recognizing him at the February meeting. So he'll come back, but he won't come back as the assistant town manager. He'll come back as civilian Dennis Barker. So we wish him all the best. And again, I'm so proud of the work he's done, and wish him all the best in his next position. Just a couple other comments. 2 days from now, we have the groundbreaking for the Rook Hotel. And I'm sure all of you have been able to see all the work that's being done over there. All the things have been gutted out pretty well. Windows are out, and they're actually already starting to frame up the walls up on the top floor. So very exciting. That event will be here. I think it's in the middle of winter time. We kind of fought the weather last month when we tried to have it. So I think rather than making everyone stand out in the cold, we'll do it in here, and then we can just walk over and take pictures in front of them. So that's very exciting news. Also, West Side has kind of stopped for the winter. They pretty much were able to get most of the work done. The paving did not get done, and so we'll get that done in the spring. And it's probably just as well, and we'd rather pave in the spring than in the beginning of winter. we get a better product, but, so that would be, at least on hold until then. And there's a number of other projects, but I guess in the interest of time, one of the things I just wanted to mention as we begin a new year, I wanted to comment on 2025, which I think was a very good year for us. I think we were able to finish up a lot of those ARPA projects, and getting the ROOK started. But I think I particularly like where we're positioned. I think there's a number of things, as you know, that we're working on, that I think is going to go a long way in making South Boston, continuing to make South Boston such a wonderful place to live and work. And I think 2026 is going to see quite a few great things that I think this will be kind of a watershed year for us. I like where we are. So I think that's looking forward to the next year. I also want to point out, I don't know if all of you have met him, but I'm very happy that Ron Gray, my colleague from Halifax County, is here, and grateful to have him. I've gotten to work with him a little bit, and looking forward to working with him. I think the county got a good one, so looking forward to working with him in the year as well. So those are all comments. Hold on one second.
Well, again, one thing I was going to do is introduce Mr. Bray. But if you want to stand up and you have anything you want to say, come forward.
I got to tell you, to come back home and see all these familiar faces that I know, Coach, good to see you again. Joe, Tina, Sharon, class of '87, I was '88. Nice to see you all again. Nice to be back home. There is no place like home. I don't care what anybody else says. Go ahead and hand it right. There's no place like home. So I'm proud of that. And, glad to be working with Matt too. We've certainly had a number of conversations thus far where we're looking to try to allow or enable the 3 jurisdictions within the county to work more collaboratively together. And so I'm eagerly looking forward to that. So thank you all for having me, and this won't be the last time you'll see me coming to the town, because I live in top of South Boston too.
Thank you.
Always experienced, always had the answer, and always thought it through. You will be missed. And Charlotte, the Bank of Charlotte County will be there.
Dennis, thanks for your 30 years commitment to South Boston. A lot of people don't know, without Dennis's help and his hard work, a lot of these projects would never got funded, and Dennis was mostly responsible for a lot of these wonderful things that happen in the town. Thank you so much.
And I want to say congratulations to you and Godspeed on your new journey. And thank you for your professionalism over the many years. It's an honor to have worked with you. God bless you.
Thank you.
It's my time. In the Bible it talks about David and Jonathan. And Jonathan told David he would come to the banquet because his father was after him. And David told him, he said, you will be missed because your seat will be filled. And it's going to be a little difficult replacing you. There won't be a replacement for you, just be somebody else in the seat. But you will definitely be missed. I've been on here forever. And looks like you've been in South Boston forever. But every time, I was telling you before when we came in today, that somebody new becomes a council member or something, there's always somebody in the community who comes to them and tries to get something done they couldn't get done 10 years ago. And the good thing about you being here and being around a while, you know who all the players are. Now we're going to have to train somebody else to recognize who the players are, so that we can continue to get things done. I was always told that your net worth is your network. And if you don't know the right people in place, you can't, it's hard to couple it. Thank goodness you have the network. And we're going to miss you. And I think we all feel the same way.
Thank you.
Thank you for an opportunity to speak today. And I would like to present the council with our Hot Off the Press annual report, just showing some of the highlights of the things that we've done throughout the year here. With the support of you all, we could not do it, and we just did as we'd be remiss if we stood here and didn't say how grateful we have been for working with you as a partner in the community. And Matt has come right alongside and helped Tri-County to continue to move forward. And this just highlights some of the things we've done. And we are excited about how West Side is moving forward, and we are looking forward to being able to stand before you and tell you when the groundbreaking is for West Side. So thank you all, and thank you all for continuing to support the work that Tri-County continues to do in this town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hate to be a negative Nelly in your love fest, but I have an issue.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and members of the South Boston Town Council. My name is Lisa Mettler. I live at 1332 Shepherd Street, and I'm here tonight to respectfully ask the council to consider reviewing and amending the current fence ordinance enacted in 2014. I was told that this ordinance exists primarily for safety reasons. However, the required yard setback amounts vary dramatically from as little as 4 feet to as much as 30 feet, depending on location. If this ordinance is truly about safety, I respectfully ask, how can such a wide variation represent a consistent safety standard? This inconsistency raises serious questions about whether the ordinance is actually serving its stated purpose. Since the ordinance was enacted in 2014, only 2 citations have been issued, both complaint-driven. At the same time, there are numerous fences throughout the city that do not comply with the ordinance and have never been cited. I've documented many of them. This demonstrates selective and inconsistent enforcement rather than fair and uniform application of the law. Complaint-driven enforcement allows private neighbor disputes to become regulatory punishment. I want to repeat that. Complaint-driven enforcement allows private neighbor disputes to become regulatory punishment. In my case, my fence was reported by a neighbor, not this one, I wasn't here for that, who wants it removed because his truck does not fit comfortably into his driveway. The city has already scheduled to widen his driveway at no cost to him, yet that does not resolve the issue. Instead, enforcement action has been directed toward me. Reducing or rebuilding my fence is not financially affordable for me. In addition, I'm now required to apply for a variance at a cost of $250 just to ask permission to keep a fence that already exists. This cost alone is a significant burden for me. More importantly, my fence serves as a critical privacy and safety function. I previously had a neighbor, not this one, who destroyed my property using a sawzall. An incident that was serious enough that the police intervention was required to stop it. I also previously had a neighbor, not this one, with surveillance cameras pointed directly in my bedroom, again requiring police intervention. My current neighbor, not this one, has now threatened to cut down my fence as well. He's aware of these prior incidents. So given that history, this threat is not merely about zoning. It is re-traumatizing and has left me feeling frightened and vulnerable in my own home. The situation demonstrates that the ordinance, as written and enforced, can place residents at risk rather than protect them. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for fairness, consistency, and reasonableness. If an ordinance exists, it should be enforced uniformly, or it should be revised to reflect real-world conditions, privacy needs, and resident safety. I respectfully urge the council to review this ordinance with special attention to 1, consistent, non-discriminatory enforcement. 2, reasonable allowances for privacy and safety. 3, eliminating complaint-driven targeting of residents. Good ordinances should protect communities, not escalate neighbor conflicts or place residents in fear in their own home. Thank you for your time and service.
Excuse me, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Now, when did you build the fence?
It was after the 2014.
It was after 2000?
Yeah, and I didn't ask because I was completely ignorant. You're supposed to do that.
Okay. And the ordinance is how old?
2014.
It was saying, it was before you built the fence?
I built the fence after the ordinance.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I just didn't know about the ordinance.
Mr. Campbell, you want to address this, or?
There is a provision in the ordinance that allows for her to request a variance. So that's done before the Board of Zoning Appeals, not before the Mayor and Council. So if you wanted to change, Ms. Mettler has asked you to consider changing the ordinance, and that would be your decision. She also, and so if you wanted to do that and change the ordinance, the purpose of the ordinance is not putting fences so high in the front yard. I don't think there's a prohibition of putting a 6-foot fence in the backyard. Hope, is that correct? But I think it's mainly in the front yard. So that's the portion that is in violation, is the 6 foot in the front yard. So she has 2 options. One, she could come to you to ask you to change the ordinance. Another option is to reduce the size of the fence from 6 foot to 4 foot. She also could go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and ask for a variance.
I have a question. So in your presentation, she mentioned that it's only been 2 citations given or two notices given. So is it, how are we going to force others? I mean, if we're asking her to go through all that she has to go through, how are we going to force others to do the same? Because we can't ask her to do something nobody else is being charged to do.
Well, I don't know how many violations are out there, so you say there's 2, I don't know what that's based on, but, because some have received approval. I can think of one over off of North Main that was actually granted approval. So there's probably a variety of stories behind each, I don't know, again, how many violations there are, but some may have already been approved, some may have been inappropriate. A lot of the, not all of them, but a lot of the complaints that come in violations are based on complaints, not driving around, although some are that way. So I think our code enforcement tries its best to go out and evenly and consistently enforce. It's not perfect, but I think we can always do better. So I think it's just trying to be consistent in our enforcement.
Okay. Thank you.
Just for my information, does it impede on the line of sight of traffic or anything?
I don't know if it impedes traffic, it probably impedes just people pulling in out of the driveway. Do you want to comment on that, Hope?
Yes. It is, she's on the R2. And her front required yard is 25 feet, which her house is much further than 25 feet from the front property line. So if she lowered it, and she does have a mirror out there to see traffic, but that doesn't help anybody else seeing traffic. One of those mirrors like she backs out of her driveway. So it is a safety issue because that is why they don't have 6-foot fence on the corner lots really close to this highway and the front lot line. And she was going to measure, I think. I asked her for the measurement, so, but I haven't gotten that yet. And she stated that the fence was for privacy, so the person couldn't sneak within her home with the previous person. And if she took it down for the 25 feet, the fence would still be 6 foot along her home. So, but yeah, it's pretty much much a safety issue in the corners for sight distance in the front yard.
And I think Virginia law sets forth the way they do it to try and take the politics out of these issues.
Yeah.
So rather than bring a case like that to you, that are elected officials, it's taken for the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is an appointed one. Doesn't mean it can't be political, but it usually reduces the political temperature, so to speak. And so if she were by the way, I should point out, she can also appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals and say that, and argue that Hope's interpretation was incorrect. So she could say it's incorrect, Board of Zoning Appeals would judge that, or can I get a variance? Either way, they're able to kind of get a little more into the weeds than this body's able to do. They can take testimony from neighbors, they can get the site plans and really look at pictures, and that's really their job, is to do more of the nuts and bolts, kind of look at it, which is really not, you guys aren't well suited given this kind of environment.
All right. You got it? Thank you. If there's anybody else on public comment?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I move that South Boston Town Council convene into a closed session as the Code of Virginia 2.2-3711-8 allows for discussing or considering the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or the disposition of a publicly held real property.
You heard the motion?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Take a 5-minute recess. Closed session.